Welcome, welcome to Chicagoland Speedway, to another beautiful Saturday at the racetrack. We are 12 minutes away from the firing of the engines for the 26th NASCAR Nationwide Series race of the season. And that will be music to the ears of many, because this has been a very long week in this sport. As we all know, there was a bit of controversy following Saturday night's Cup race in Richmond. All three Michael Waltrip Racing drivers were docked 50 points, and among other things, the team's GM, Ty Norris, has been indefinitely suspended. The point deduction means Martin Truex Jr. is not in the chase. Ryan Newman now is. And after a second investigation, and based on everything that happened Saturday night, there is now a 13th driver in the chase. That is Jeff Gordon. Plus, both Penske Racing and Front Row Motorsports are on probation. That boils down to what NASCAR deemed to be inappropriate radio conversation between the two teams Saturday night. Conversation that did not turn into action. That's the reason for only probation. We now welcome you inside the Quicken Loans ESPN Pit Studio. I'm Nicole Briscoe alongside Rusty Wallace, Brad Doherty, and Ray Evernham. The latest in this whole situation was a mandatory meeting that took place just a few hours ago between NASCAR and Sprint Cup Series teams and drivers. The purpose of this meeting was to clarify the line that can no longer be crossed.
We just a few moments ago wrapped up a meeting with the drivers and the owners and crew chiefs, and at the center of that meeting was what our expectations were going forward and how we intended. And those expectations are that a driver and a team give 100% effort, their best effort, to complete a race and race as hard as they possibly can.
These are some of the examples that we came up with that's unacceptable in hopes to help define this step we're taking. Offering a position in exchange for favor or material benefit. Offering material benefit in exchange for track position. Directing a driver to give up a position to benefit or to the benefit of another driver. Intentionally causing a caution. Causing a caution for the benefit of or deterrent of another driver, intentionally wrecking a competitor, intentionally pitting, pulling into the garage to gain advantage for another competitor. Again, I want to reiterate, this list is examples and doesn't mean that if it's not on this list, it's okay.
That meeting was just for Cup drivers and teams, but the ethics will apply to all three of the Touring Series. Brad, as a team owner, you were in that meeting. What was the overriding theme?
Well, I've known Brian France a very long time, and the one thing that I saw is he was clearly agitated and very stern and to the point about anyone who infringes upon NASCAR's integrity or character going forward. You will be heavily penalized. That was very, very clear once I left that meeting.
Are you clear on the rules?
The one thing I'm clear on is that NASCAR's tolerance has been tested here and their patience has been tested, and we will not get any closer to messing with these rules and violations in the future.
This has been a precedent-setting week. What are your thoughts on how all of this has been handled from that questionable spin by Clint Bowyer in Richmond to now?
Well, those precedents have been put in place because of a bunch of unique actions that happened right at the end of last week's race. The most important, in my opinion, is the intentional spin by the 15 car, causing a caution, and the attempt by Michael Waltrip Racing to manipulate the end of the event. After listening to Mike Helton today in our ESPN competition meeting, I'm satisfied with the explanation that they gave on how they addressed the points and the penalties. I strongly disagree and feel like they should have penalized Michael Waltrip Racing more points, which would have put 12 cars in the chase and stopped us from having to add rules to our racing series.
What I took out of that meeting was no more deal making, no more shenanigans. Guys, just go out there and drive hard. Now, there's one thing that was pretty interesting to me. It sounds like in tomorrow's Cup race, there's going to be a restart procedure change. I'm interested to see what's going to happen there. Now, Nicole, another thing I'm concerned about is the boys have at it question. Is that still okay? Go out there, rough them up, drive hard. Can they still do that?
So many questions that, as Ray had pointed out, there still seems to be a gray area, and even NASCAR admitted there's a lot of subjectivity to this. Obviously, this is a conversation that we will continue tomorrow on Countdown. We should also tell you that any rule changes that are going into effect will go into effect tomorrow before the Sprint Cup Series race. Everything is as it was for this race this afternoon, and as we said earlier, today is actually race day in the Nationwide Series. There is no chase in the Nationwide Series, but there is very much a championship on the line, and it is incredibly close. With just 8 races to go in this season, we're looking at 4 drivers separated by fewer than 30 points. A lot on the line out there today. Let's get this afternoon rolling. Hopefully it is a clean, exciting afternoon from Chicagoland Speedway. So before we get the engines fired, let's go trackside for pre-race ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as the Inspector Instructor Staff 2nd Battalion, 24th Marine, 4th Marine Division out of Chicago, Illinois, presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Larry Ament from Chicagoland Speedway offers our invocation.
Heavenly Father, we come today through your Son, Jesus, who gave his life so that we could have eternal life with you. We thank you, Lord, for all the grace and the mercy that you present to us every moment of every day. We thank you for this beautiful weather today, Lord, and for the opportunity for friends and family to be able to come to Chicagoland Speedway today to have fun and experience the fun and excitement that NASCAR has to offer. I thank you for all the friends and family and my employees for all the hard work that they do. Bless this day, Lord. Let it be your will. In your name I pray. Amen.
And here to perform our national anthem, please welcome the legendary voice of the Chicago Blackhawks national anthem, Jim Cornelison.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets shot the bombs bursting in air, did prove through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? For the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Kyle Busch will start on pole for this one, starting next to Austin Dillon. Your points leader, Sam Hornish Jr., will start 4th. 200 laps from Chicagoland Speedway coming your way next. Back in Joliet, Illinois on Chicagoland Speedway. Quick thoughts before we get up to the booth.
I'll be watching to see if Elliott Sadler can get back on track and start being more consistent. I'll be looking at that.
I'm looking for Austin Dillon to have a big day against the Cup regulars.
Can Sam Hornish beat the Cup regulars and continue his march towards championship?
Let's find out. Let's get upstairs to the guys in the booth. It's Marty Reed, Andy Petrie, and Dale Jarrett.
Thank you, Nicole. We're just glad that we're finally talking about racing and not about penalties, and glad that you're going to spend part of your Saturday afternoon with us. Let's talk about the 2 top contenders in this championship race. Sam Hornish Jr. leads Austin Dillon by 16 points. Is it just a 2-man race, Andy?
I think it is, Marty. We've got 2 great race teams here with Sam Hornish and Austin Dillon, and they've separated themselves by about 26, 28 points from the other two, and I think that they are going to be able to race it out. We can see Austin Dillon's got a little advantage on these mile and a half. He's got a little better average finish and points earned. So I think Austin Dillon and this team of Sam Hornish are going to be the ones to fight it out at the end unless they stumble somewhere along the line.
Yeah, I know you're right an awful lot, but I'm going to have to disagree a little bit here because I think it's still a four-man race. With Elliott Sadler in fourth, just 28 back, that means 4 positions per race in these last 8, and he can be ahead. And plus, I think there's so much that can be happening in this with mistakes, pit road speeding penalty, anything that can just alter this. So I think this is still a wide open race.
Well, there's one other thing we want to talk about before we go green, and that is the fact we have 5 of our Chase contenders running in today's nationwide race. And we'll give you that list. There they are, the 5. Is this good or is it bad for these guys?
Well, I think it factors in also to just what I was talking about, the points. They can separate that a little bit. I think it's good for these drivers to be here. This is one of those tracks they only come to as Cup drivers once a year, and they're going to run this high line. They're going to do that tomorrow. That's going to help them get accustomed to that.
Yeah, and I think for these particular drivers that are running today, I think this is great. Going into the chase, there's a ton of pressure on all of the chase drivers, and I think this helps them deal with it. Racetrack, they're going to learn some things about it. Big, bumpy racetrack with a lot of character. I think it's going to help these drivers to learn something that's going to help them and to be a little bit of a distraction away from the pressure of this chase.
Well, there's one thing we can point out. Kyle Busch is sitting on pole. That's good news. Bad news is at Chicago in the Nationwide Series, the pole sitter has never won the race. So can Kyle snap it, get his 10th win of the year? That's what we're about to find out. What happens with Austin Dillon starting second, Sam Hornish starting fourth? All those stories about to unfold. Let's go trackside to start the engines.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal, Vice President of Investor Relations and Public Relations for Dollar General Corporation, Mary Wynn Pilkington.
Drivers, start your engines. Let's go racing. Fired up when you're ready.
All right, so the engines are fired on the 40 that made the field, 3 that did not. Josh Wise, Carl Long, and Morgan Shepherd failed to qualify earlier today. Justin Allgaier is in the number 31. He's going to be doing double duty this weekend for the first time in his career. He'll be driving the 51 tomorrow in the Cup race, but he's also going to be our in-race reporter today, and the former Chicagoland winner. Well, we'll talk to him when we come back. Welcome back to the Dollar General 300 powered by Coca-Cola. Don't forget to check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy to watch all the live race coverage from right here at Chicagoland Speedway. It includes 10 HD live race views, live chat, and live leaderboards. Let's talk about our onboard cameras. We have 8 of them for you today. Austin Dillon will be carrying the Advocare onboard. He'll start second, as we mentioned. Regan Smith farther back, 16th, his starting position, the Chevy onboard. Sam Hornish Jr. starting 4th with the Goodyear camera. Matt Kenseth with the GameStop onboard. He's starting deep in the field for him, 18th. Joey Logano has the Ford EcoBoost camera. He'll start 3rd today. And we'll talk to Justin Allgaier in just a moment. He's got the Nationwide Insurance on board. He's going to start 20th. And Kyle Busch with his 8th pole of the year with the Toyota onboard camera. And yes, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the race today with the Nationwide Insurance on board. He's starting 6th. Let's get to that in-race reporter. How about it, DJ? Let's talk to Justin Allgaier.
Hey, Justin, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You got a minute to chat?
Yes, sir, Dale. Go ahead.
All right, Justin, thanks for talking with us. Our first question comes from our mailbag, and it's from Nick in Holly, Michigan. He asked, how do you think the extra track time you gained by doing double duty for the first time helped you this weekend?
It's huge. To get more laps, number one, but the Cup car obviously has a lot more horsepower. That helped out. And then our happy hour practice just a few minutes ago, I was able to learn some stuff following some of the Cup guys that we hope will really help out our Winfield brand Camaro. So I'm excited for today's race.
Hey, Justin, we always talk to you and know that this is a huge event for you, for your sponsor, being at this racetrack. Know you want to go to victory lane. My question to you is, did you get this race car yesterday to where you can be a contender here today?
Well, I think so. You know, Scott Zipadelli and all the boys on this team worked really hard. We made a lot of changes. We felt like at the end of the day we were really good, really strong. You know, the sun was going down though, so we quit a little bit early because we didn't want to fool ourselves. And so when we made our qualifying run this morning, we were a little bit too free. But we feel like we're going to race really, really well. And we got a few cars to pass because of my mistakes qualifying. But I think we got as good a shot as ever to get Brant, Winfield, and everybody that's you know, a part of this whole program back into victory lane. We got a lot of guests, as you mentioned, and it's always fun to have those guys here. And great crowd on hand. I'm excited. Can't thank everybody for what they do at Nationwide Insurance. It's going to be a fun day.
All right, young man, we'll look forward to watching you go towards the front and try to talk to you later on. Have a good day.
Sounds good, Dale. Thank you.
And with that, let's get the final update from pit road prior to the race. Vince Welch, you're up.
Well, they may not have the fastest car, but points leader Sam Hornish Jr. sure does like the balance of his race car. In fact, they were so happy they didn't even participate in that second practice session to make sure they avoided any chance of disaster. Yes, this team has its eye on the big picture, and in that vision is the championship trophy. They won't do anything to alter it today. Dave Burns?
Last week at Richmond, Brian Scott started from pole and led all but the final 11 laps. He didn't win his first Nationwide Series race that day, but even so, crew chief Phil Gould told me this was a huge boost to the team's confidence, and they feel like maybe they can get the job done today. They know that if they can keep the car where it is, where it was last week, that they can do it, but he'll have a long way to come from 19th this afternoon. Jamie Little?
Well, Dave, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is in his fourth and final Nationwide Series race of the year. And because his focus has been over on the Cup side and the chase, he's been relying on his two teammates here for information, Regan Smith and Brad Sweet. But this morning he went out and he out-qualified both of his teammates. He's driving a brand new race car. They want to go out with a win. Doc Punch?
Well, Jamie, no surprise the series winningest driver, Kyle Busch, was fast in practice, won the pole, and is considered the odds-on favorite to win the race now today. But their one weakness may be fuel mileage. According to the team, they may be a lap or two shy of the Fords and Chevys in that category. Should make it very, very interesting down the stretch. Marty?
Thank you, Doctor. Our over-the-wall reporter today is Sean Cotton. He is the jackman on the number 99 of Alex Bowman. And hey, Sean, got a question for you. History tells us that there is a good chance this event comes down to the final pit stop.
Yeah, in these Nationwide Insurance events, pit stops matter a lot, you know. It's not always the fastest car, but the fastest pit stop. So the final stop could be the big one.
All right, you be safe down there, and we'll be watching all your work. Take care.
Thank you.
As we get ready, one note for Kenny Wallace. He is about to make a little personal history. It will be his 900th career start in all three of the NASCAR Touring Series. Tip of the hat.
It's a milestone for Kenny. He drove for me in the Cup Series for a couple of years. He's been around a long time. Run a lot of races.
Also want to welcome back the driver of the 14 car, Eric Mcclure. He'd been out for 4 races. He had some serious kidney renal failure, and it's good to see him back in that 14.
Yeah, it sure is. Nice to see him back here. Those issues behind him now, and able to get back to doing what he loves to do, driving a race car here.
2 cars going to the rear for unapproved adjustments, the 99, and that is Alex Bowman, and the 44 of Chad Hockenbrough. If you notice, our pole sitter, the 54, has taken the inside, and the 3 will be on the outside. Let's listen in on the 3 radio.
Guys, let's have some fun today here. Just do what we know how to do best. Proud of everybody here. Proud of the position we're in right now. We don't get too many opportunities like this in our life, and we got to make it happen here.
Some words of inspiration, and right behind him is the man he's chasing. That is Sam Hornish Jr. in the number 12.
I was chosen that inside. Last night it seemed the outside in the truck race was the preferred effort to make on these restarts. We'll see how this works.
Pace car has pulled down. Cars waiting for the green flag, and the Dollar General 300 is green. Kyle Busch is going to lead lap number 1. The question is who's going to be second and third. Austin Dillon and Joey Logano are fighting for that spot.
Yeah, Austin Dillon had just about a perfect start of the race, but looks like that 54 is just a little bit too strong.
What everybody said from practice yesterday too, and obviously we've seen it a lot all year long, but this 54 certainly is the car to beat.
And of course, the 54 and the 22 are doing battle for the owner or team championship. And right now, the team championship is led by 11 points by that 22 car. Sam Hornish Jr. there in the number 12, right behind that duo. He's running in the 4th spot.
Yeah, those two cars running side by side in front of him allows him to get a huge drafting effect there, too. We'll see if he tries to make it 3 wide here. That opportunity presents itself, especially like maybe coming off turn 4.
DJ, one of the things we noticed in last night's truck race, everybody seemed to be able to run up on the high line, but very few could make the bottom work.
Yeah, and they have a few more things in their toolkit that they can do with these nationwide cars, and it may help them to go across these bumps and be a little bit better there. The bumps have really gotten a little bit worse down in 3 and 4 on the bottom, but you're right. I think we still see them utilize the middle of the racetrack, where we're seeing Austin Dillon go here now, a lot more here before this afternoon's over.
And Sam Hornish Jr. trying to get around the 3 car right now and take over that 3rd position. Parker Kligerman in that 77 car. He was one of the guys in qualifying was telling me just how bad it was going through 3 and 4 with the bumps, Andy.
Yeah, and you can see Austin Dillon is in a place. I actually thought the bumps were not quite as bad, but I'm talking to some drivers, and they're saying that it's starting to get even worse. The bumps are up high as well, so I don't know if there actually is a place that they can go that is smooth.
No, I don't think you'll find a smooth place. You just have to figure out exactly where you can go, where you want to go, and I think that'll change probably throughout a run also. As the air pressure gets built up and you wear the tires down some, I think that could possibly change.
How about a check on Elliott Sadler there in the 11 with the 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr., followed by the 5 of Brad Sweet. Sweet will be in that 5 car the remaining 8 races.
And Sadler led a lot of the race here earlier this year. Did a lot of it running the middle towards the top of the racetrack. So we'll see how that plays out today. Things look like they may have changed a little bit.
It does. I mean, every pass we've seen so far today have been on the bottom of the racetrack.
And so move Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the left side of your screen into that 8th position. You saw Brian Vickers also pick up a spot.
See, now that Dillon has gotten to the bottom, he's going forward again.
So Austin gets back around Sam Hornish Jr. So a lot of early passes here through 7 laps.
Yeah, on the bottom, that surprised me. I really thought that high groove would come in pretty quickly. But I'm not seeing it right away.
Could it be the fact that we're in the middle of the heat of the day? Last night's truck race was at 7:30 at night.
Oh, certainly that has probably some things to do with it, you know, and they'll be searching some more for grip, but I think certainly the time of day and I think this racetrack, even though the temperature is cool, that this racetrack is probably doesn't have a ton of grip right now, and the bottom is the short way around for them.
I'll tell you what, Brian Vickers has got one bad race car right now. He has just gotten around Sam Hornish Jr., moved him up to the 4th position. And this is the best we've seen him run in about the last 3 races. Finished 7th at Richmond, but he had 15th at Atlanta, 34th at Bristol, which was his worst run of the year in that 20 car. And while all this action is going on, we should tell you, Kyle Larson had his worst start of the year. He spun it in qualifying, started 39th, and he's already up to 19th. Working lap number 14 here at our nationwide race in Chicago, the Dollar General 300. It's powered by Coca-Cola, and glad that you're with us this afternoon. And we want to remind you, of course, the chase begins tomorrow with the Geico 400 here in Chicago. Coverage begins at 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. And the NHRA Carolina Nationals have qualifying tomorrow morning, 3:30 a.m. on ESPN2. Finals tomorrow evening at 8:30 p.m. on ESPN2. Back here, our race leader is still Kyle Busch. He's led all 15 laps so far, followed by Joey Logano, Austin Dillon, Brian Vickers, and points leader Sam Hornish Jr. We want to focus on the 32. That's Kyle Larson, and he is going around Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, he started dead last. This 32 car is on a roll. He's been running up high mostly, but I've seen him make some passes actually on the bottom of the racetrack too.
Yeah, but he's really making that high line work. Down in 1 and 2 in particular, getting a huge run off the corner.
Dave, what are you hearing on that 32?
Providing a little feedback for his team. He's sliding the tires if he's too low. He's a little bit tight on top when he's on the top groove. Main thing to note here, though, is that he slid his tires in qualifying. NASCAR allowed the team to purchase an entire another set, so they're not off in terms of tires against the field. Just wanted you guys to know that.
Thanks for the update. You know, this probably shouldn't surprise us. He finished 5th back at Atlanta, and that's a pretty bumpy racetrack in a 1.5 miles.
Yeah, he has no problem searching around, looking for the grip, and finding what makes his car go fast, because that's what he likes to do. He did get extremely loose qualifying, but is really making things work here in the race.
Saw race leader Kyle Busch go down on the apron. That's perfectly legal, as he is just knocking down lap after lap in the 31-second range. His fastest race lap, fastest of the race, in fact, 30.97. Let's check in on the 5 of Brad Sweet, the 30 of Nelson Piquet Jr., and then the 33 with Kevin Harvick behind the wheel.
Yeah, I've seen Harvick searching around a little bit too. He used the load line to make that pass there, but he's been up high quite a bit, seeing if he could find some speed.
Andy, I talked to him before qualifying. Kevin said we tried 3 different setups, and the problem is the nationwide rules, you can only use that same set of tires. He said we really don't know what we have going in.
Yeah, the problem with that is when you try a completely different setup, you want to start over. You want to put a new set of tires on it and see how it progresses. And when you only have one set and you try to do that, you really don't get a good 100% feedback. So it really kind of comes down to the driver feel and what he likes.
Vince, what are you hearing on that 33?
Well, it is indeed a different setup, but it is the same car he drove to victory lane a couple of weeks ago in Atlanta. Right now, they aren't completely happy with the way the car is handling. Kevin says one lap it's tight, another lap it's loose. Just going to look for a little more consistency when they get to that first pit stop.
Harvick running in the 9th position. You see Piquet 10th, and we drop back one more position. The 11 of Elliott Sadler.
Looks like you're going to have to make that top work to cushion the 1 and 2 to get running anybody. Really loose in and extremely tight middle off. Like what I called you and talked about after qualifying.
Yeah, with that situation, it's really hard to make yourself as a driver go to that high side with a loose car on the entry to the corner, but we see Elliott moving up, and that could help his problem with his exit that he's talking about being so tight. You see the huge run that he gets right there, and that's exactly what Brett Griffin, his spotter, was trying to tell him. Go back to that. We saw him utilize this again back in July at this racetrack and carried a lot of speed around here.
Yeah, it's good to see that Hooters paint scheme again. I haven't seen that in a while. Old Nelson Piquet. Like Alan Kowicki's old car.
Yep, sure does. The 6 of Trevor Bayne starting to pull up close to the 30 as well. He's down on that low side. Started 14th, trying to take over the spot. Got some lap traffic down low. Gets around nicely. It's 10th, 11th, 12th on back as the race continues here at Chicagoland. The 87 off pace. That's Joe Nemechek doing double duty this weekend. He'll start 42nd tomorrow in the Cup race.
He's rolling slow on the back straightaway. I don't know if he has a problem. He may not make it back to pit road if he doesn't have power.
We already have 3 cars behind the wall. Blake Cook, J.J. Yaley, and Jeff Green. And we may get our first caution here unless he can get it around. He is just getting into turn 3 there. Caution is out. So that is going to be our first caution of the day here at Chicagoland Speedway, as we have completed 23 of the scheduled 200 laps.
Just come on down this time, post it around.
Remember we talked about threading through lap traffic. Let's go back a couple of laps ago while we're waiting for everybody to get set up for potential pit stops. Watch the 3 car. From his onboard.
Yeah, he gets also this good look at this.
Watch these 2 right here. 20 inside.
Vickers also got past Brian Vickers back for that spot, but then Vickers taking advantage of that situation to take the spot back.
And when you're battling for that championship like we were talking about, it's not the kind of things you want to see going on in front of you.
Vickers moves into the 3rd spot. Austin Dillon 4th. Both are following Kyle Busch, who's led every lap so far, and Joey Logano.
Limited amount of tires these teams have, Andy. Do you take a chance?
You're halfway through a run right now on fuel. And this is a green flag kind of racetrack. You want to kind of set yourself up for a long green run. I wouldn't want to stay out here. I would want to come down pit road and probably make an adjustment, get a full tank of fuel. And you probably see some guys taking 2 tires to try to change their track position a little bit. Maybe a little strategy here.
Kyle waited to the very last moment, but does make the commitment down pit lane. Let's go to Dave Burns first.
Vickers will give up 3rd. He'll take 4 tires, 2 cans of Sunoco fuel. He'll get a wedge adjustment for a car that was a little bit loose in and off. He had to wait on it in the center of the corner. Doc?
Going to be 4 tires for Austin Dillon. Said it was a little bit tight in the center, but he was okay off. Joey Logano talking about the car being plus one tight in the center, plus 3 loose off, air pressure change, maybe chassis adjustment on the 22. Kyle Busch says the car really, really good. A little freer on the bottom than on top. Otherwise, said don't touch it. Just put 4 tires and fill it up with Sunoco fuel.
So it looks like Dale Earnhardt Jr. took your suggestion, Andy. So did Brian Scott, picking up 14 spots. Dale gets 6. The 2 tires. We'll find out how it works out. Kyle Busch dropped 4. And we'll find out, like we said, when we come back. Two ranked teams headline ESPN's doubleheader tonight as 7 Eastern, one of the nation's best wide receivers, Jordan Matthews, leads the Commodores into a crucial SEC East battle against Jadeveon Clowney and the 13th ranked Gamecocks. Then at 10:30, senior running back James White and the 20th ranked Badgers. They'll be tested against Will Sutton and the Sun Devils defense. It's Vandy and South Carolina at 7. Then the Badgers and Arizona State at 10:30. It's tonight on ESPN and also live on Watch ESPN. While we were in break,
later than I want to be.
While we were in the break, Joey Gase had a bit of an issue when he came into pit road. Let's go back and show you what happened. This is our view from over-the-wall reporter Sean Cotton.
Something didn't go right.
I don't think that's the way it's supposed to end up.
I don't think so.
So Joey had to go back around and get back into the pit, so he's back out. Jamie?
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. gained quite a few positions to take the lead here. Steve Letarte, his Cup crew chief, calling the shots on the box, wanted right sides only, said they got 7.5 seconds of fuel. They should be good to stay in their fuel window. Guys?
Well, the number 88 pitted from the 7th spot, the number 2 from the 16th position. They're the only 2 that did take 2 tires. And here we go with Dale Earnhardt Jr. leading the field on the low side. Here comes Kyle Busch with those 4 tires. Doesn't look like 2's doing too good, does it?
Well, Kyle Busch has got a great car.
Great move Logano made there to go get the lead, though.
Yeah, I mean, he's already been bumped back to 3rd. Here comes Sam Hornish Jr. trying to bump Jr. back to 4th.
Yeah, we haven't given these tires enough time yet, Marty, to see what they're going to do. I think after they run 5 to maybe 10 laps, we'll get an idea. Watch Dale Earnhardt Jr. because he has a decent car.
He does. Now, I'm going to be surprised personally if 2 tires work with this racetrack as worn as what it is and the speeds that they're having to carry through the corners here.
You saw the 3 of Austin Dillon get around as well as he got past the 2 of Brian Scott. He's moved into that 6th position, and there's Dale Jr. running in 5th right ahead of him.
But I don't think it's a bad experiment at this point in time of the race to give that a try to see what that may have for either later on today or the possibility of tomorrow.
Yeah, especially for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Nothing to lose here in this race to go ahead and try that. Get a good look at it. And if it doesn't work, he's still not even out of this race, so they can come back and make a recovery.
Absolutely.
Here comes Kyle Busch looking for the race lead again. He wants to take it away from Joey Logano. Goes all the way down to the apron as far as he dare go before he turns it into an off-road vehicle.
Sadler making it a little tough on him.
Yeah, and Kyle got a little bit loose there. You can see Joey went up the track a little bit thinking that maybe he was going to have to give him a little bit more room there.
The 54 restarted in the 5th position and now has retaken the lead. Didn't take him that long, did it?
No, that car is just so good. And the driver's pretty good himself, but it's just amazing the combination that they have in this series that they just are outstanding. And of course, Kyle won last night in the truck race here.
Ooh, did you see that little wiggle by Vickers in 4th?
You see the time that he lost there too, that it cost him.
Vickers had that streak of 6 consecutive top 5s until he went to Bristol, and then it got snapped. He hasn't been back in the top 5 since.
Yeah, it was that accident at Bristol that kind of really took him out of contention. They looked like they'd gotten themselves right back in the middle of it, sitting there about 18 points out of the lead, and it looked like we were going to certainly have a 5-man battle for the championship. But that night kind of did him in. So, you know, now their thing is go win races or try to win races.
There's Brian Scott as he's right ahead of the 11 and the 7, Regan Smith, as he's going underneath the 11 of Elliott Sadler.
Well, he's not going to be happy with the handling of his car here, I don't think at all, because I talked to him earlier today, and he felt like that they had no worse than a 5th place car.
Well, and both of these guys have got to be concerned because the 2 guys they're both chasing in the championship that are ahead of them in the points are ahead of them on the track.
Yeah, and you can't keep saying, well, anything can happen. You know, keep going week to week. You're going to have to get yourself in a position that you challenge that 12 and 3 car up there on a regular basis and be in front of him.
The one thing Elliott Sadler's done very well, though, is he finishes these races off really strong. Like, even if he's off, I mean, he's way off in the beginning of the race. Somehow he can get a lap down, get it back, and get back in contention, get a top 10, and even sometimes a top 5 finish when you thought he was nowhere.
Well, there is the 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. He has maintained that 5th position after coming back out after the 2-tire stop with the race lead. But here comes Austin Dillon taking another run down low.
And Junior's done it mostly running that middle to top side of the racetrack. So this experiment of what they're trying here really hasn't worked out very bad. I mean, he's running as good as what he did in that first 24 laps.
That's why I want to give it just 5 or 10 laps and then see what it looks like. So far, so good.
And we did see Brian Scott when that battle was going on with Regan Smith and also Elliott Sadler. He's running 11th right now. And of course, Brian led 239 laps last week at Richmond, only to see the race go away from him on the last restart. As this race continues to unfold, we have had 4 different leaders, but the guy who's really been the dominant car is Kyle Busch, with 32 laps led. But when we come back, we'll explain why that might not be a good omen. Welcome back to the Dollar General 300 powered by Coca-Cola. And we want to remind you to check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy, where you can watch all the live race coverage from Chicagoland Speedway. It includes 10 HD live race views, live chat, live leaderboards. Sam Hornish Jr. right there running 3rd. Right behind his Team Penske teammate, Joey Logano, who's in 2nd. Kyle Busch is running up front, has about a 1.1 second lead over Logano, and making it look easy like he has done several other times. And they're going to split the difference here. One goes high, one goes low around the 23 of Juan Carlos Bloom.
Yeah, you could hear right there that Sam had to breathe it just a little bit to make sure he was giving himself plenty of room there.
Mentioned Kyle Larson starting in the back of the field because they spun during qualifying. Started the race 39th, and he is closing in on Brian Scott for the 11th position.
Yeah, he gave up a few spots on the last pit stop under caution. Had a slow right side tire change and actually lost a little ground. Starting to get it back.
Brian Scott, as we mentioned, led all those laps last week, more than he had led in his entire career. I asked him, is he over the disappointment on that last restart and the no call? And he goes, no, because everybody keeps asking me about it. And I said, I'm sorry, but, you know, he said, yeah, I'll get over it after this week for sure, once we get in the race car.
Yeah, problem is, as a race driver, you just don't get a car that good very often. You know, you'd like to take advantage of those opportunities. You know, sometimes he's going to win a race probably sometime when he didn't have the best car, but when you have the best car, you like to try to take advantage of that.
And it seems like race car drivers always remember those lost opportunities, not the ones that they can't capitalize on, but the ones that they lost that they should have won. It's one of those things you just don't forget.
You see Justin Allgaier taking the position away from the 2 as he moves up a spot. Allgaier now in the 12th position. Let's drop back a few more spots because Matt Kenseth, this is a surprise to all of us. He's running in the 14th position. What are you hearing down there, Vince?
Well, they've struggled throughout much of this weekend. They just haven't really been able to find the balance. Too tight in practice, too loose in qualifying. And during that first run, he said it was just way too loose in, and then it plowed once he got to the throttle. So they took a significant swing at it with a wedge adjustment during that first pit stop, but not much movement out of the 18. He started 18th, and as you noted, Marty, up to 13th now.
He must have a similar setup to Elliott Sadler because that's how he was describing his car. Yeah. Loose on entry and then way too tight on the exit.
Well, they are teammates.
They are that.
See a lot of lap traffic there as all 3 of those cars managed to sneak on through the middle, basically kicking a field goal since it is football season.
Alex Bowman there doing a nice job of recovering. He had to go to the back at the start of this race.
Yep, sent to the rear for some unapproved changes after qualifying. There he is in the 99. Side by side with the 2 of Brian Scott.
I don't know what the changes were, but they definitely didn't hurt him any as far as the competitive side and nature of this. But nice to see him having a good run here this afternoon.
Well, and he needed a good run. I mean, he came out home 15th at Richmond, but before that he had a 34th at Atlanta, his worst of the year, a 33rd at Bristol, and that team was really low going into last week's race at Richmond. Meanwhile, Joey Logano and his teammate Sam Hornish Jr. and Hornish is saying, I'd sort of like to take second place from you, and he does.
Yeah, really been impressed with Sam Hornish all year long in this series. Done a nice job of managing these races. Yeah, the last couple of weeks have shown me a lot more about the racer that he is and potential champion. Just they weren't that good. They sat there outside the top 5 a lot of those races, but found himself up inside the top 5 whenever the race was over, and that's what champions are made of.
I think one thing I've seen in Sam is I've seen a shift in the way he thinks and his confidence level. I think now when he goes into these races, he's thinking winning. He thinks I can go ahead and win this race. I can win this championship. Rather than just go out here and compete, I think he has got that positive attitude that it takes to be successful, and I think they're really focused on winning this championship.
Well, there's his last 3 finishes, and of course he led 56 laps here in the July race, but lost track position due to speeding, and finished second to Joey Logano in the race here earlier this year. And you're right about his attitude. I mean, how confident was a team that doesn't even go out in final practice last night?
Yeah, that shows you that they do have confidence in what they're doing. And I really have a lot of confidence in his crew chief, too, because I think this is really a good combination. And I think that, you know, that his crew chief gives him confidence, and I think vice versa.
I think that's evolved. I wasn't sold on it in the middle of the year. I think they started out the year really well, and it's easy to get along then. Then they had a little adversity, and it seemed like they were kind of going apart just a little bit. But I've seen them, Andy, come together, and a lot of that, you've believed in them the whole year, and you've been exactly right that they've worked together, as we see now his teammate going back by. Logano going to take that second spot. But really impressed with this race team and Sam Hornish and the way that he's contributed as a driver and grown as a driver.
And Greg Irwin's just got a lot. He's a really smart guy, too.
Yeah.
He's been around a long time. He's been in the Cup Series. He's been in a lot of situations. And he's hungry. He's hungry to win a championship.
Yeah. And the thing to remember, Sam Hornish Jr. right now as they run is the fastest and the man who's up front of all those contending for the championship. The 2 ahead of him, they're not running for the points. They're just running for the win. So right now, he is still tacking on to that lead. And it would be up to 18 points if everything stays the same. But don't count out Austin Dillon yet. He's running 5th. But Sam Hornish is the man right now in the championship lead. Back here at Chicagoland Speedway after 58 of 200 laps, as it has been pretty much Kyle Busch out in front. We have had 4 leaders and 4 lead changes, but Kyle in that 54 has led 53 laps. But just like Richmond last week, where the man who leads the most laps doesn't always win. In fact, only 1 out of the last 5 at Richmond. That's the same statistic here in the Nationwide Series at Chicagoland. 1 out of 5 times the dominant car has won the race.
So you think Kyle will just back off?
Well, no. I'm just giving you the statistics and let everybody see what happens. That's exactly what we mentioned last week, and we all thought, you know, that Brian Scott was going to win the race. And he did.
Didn't work out.
Didn't work out.
Yeah, earlier this year, that man right there in the 11, Elliott Sadler, thought he had this race.
Yeah.
Led the most laps, didn't win.
Yep.
I tell you what, Kyle Larson's really on the move now. He's marked up there inside the top 10. I watched him in practice. He's got a really good car. I watched him in a lot of different situations, and I think he's got a car that he hasn't had in a while. They may have found something.
Yeah. Well, and DJ, he said the spin was my fault during qualifying. He said I turned in too early, and it just changed the whole 1 and 2 corner for him.
Yeah, if you get in there too early, then you haven't gotten to the apex of the corner. You get down there, and you've got more wheel in it, and then the thing, you've got a lot of wheel. It's spin out.
Yeah, one thing, though, that's been one of the problems with this team is qualifying bad. I think there's some pressure on him to try to qualify a little better, and it may have got the best of him today. How about it, Dave?
Well, Andy, how about this comment from final practice? He said, that is the happiest I have ever been in a Nationwide Series car. Car has speed. It's not loose off like it was in July, and it drives and maneuvers so well in traffic. He was only worried about getting through the traffic and towards the front, and as he's gotten to the front, it seems to handle pretty well up there.
While we've got a moment, let's take a look at the biggest movers in today's race with Drive Like You Mean It. It's brought to you by Carl's Jr. and Hardee's. And since we were talking about Kyle Larson, how's that for a segue, guys?
Perfect. Hey. Yeah, he's moving. And that lap traffic, or the traffic that he was worried about getting through to start with, certainly hasn't hindered his progress any, and not many of the lead lap cars have that he's encountered so far.
So he has managed to put himself in the 9th spot, and right behind him in the 10th is Elliott Sadler. We eavesdropped on the radio like we sometimes do.
Just so you're aware, we only got half the adjustment in the right rear we wanted. He just didn't get it all. Good. I don't think I can stand anymore the way it's driving now. I can feel it really loading up.
So Sadler running in the 10th position. Allgaier running 11th. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has fallen back to 12th. While we check in on this battle between 2nd and 3rd, Joey Logano in the 22 and 12 of Sam Horner.
Pretty evenly matched race cars right there, and they have been a lot of the times that we've seen them all year racing around each other.
These guys continue to march around this track. Dr. Jerry Punch, what have you got on that 22 car?
Well, Joey Logano had complained about the car being sort of tight in the center and loose off. They made an air pressure adjustment, air out of the left front and right rear, and he was doing pretty well. And he said just a moment ago, the car just suddenly started getting loose all the way through. Loose in, loose middle, loose off. He said, I guess I need some clean air, but which is one of the reasons he went back around the 12 car, but got his hands full right now trying to hang on to that position.
You can see there the lead is up to 3.2 seconds with Kyle Busch just literally in cruise mode, it seems. He's marching around this track, and here comes Sam trying to get close again.
It's kind of fun when you got a car. Most of these guys really, because they're not really holding each other up. They can race each other because one of them likes the high lane, one likes the low. So they're not really impeding each other's progress, but having fun racing side by side.
And this is what we saw last night in the truck race. Guys would dive down low, get alongside, but they couldn't finish it a lot of the time.
Yeah, it just makes it tough because that's so rough, and you have to have more wheel in there. When you hit those bumps, you just have to be careful with that. But Sam's doing a nice job of managing that. Logano's giving him 2-3 lanes of racetrack to try to make that pass.
Maybe about 5. Still can't get it done.
But we were talking about how this might change. You see Logano up middle and top part of the racetrack. I've noticed watching Kyle Busch leading this race. He's moved up the racetrack now, and it's kind of what we thought may happen.
Justin Allgaier has tracked down the 11 of Elliott Sadler. That is for 10th position.
Let's see what that top lane's worth momentum-wise down the straightaway.
This time Elliott stays down low. Oh, he may get a pick here from the 40. That's Reed Sorensen lap traffic, and yes, it'll allow the 31 to slide right up in front of the 11.
Yeah, and Elliott Sadler had the opportunity right there to try to make it 3 wide and force the issue, but he knows that the 31 had caught him and was faster than him right at this point, so he'll save that to move for another time. Hopefully they'll get that 11 adjusted and get his car a little bit more speedy.
54 still going around some lap traffic as Kyle Busch has now opened up a 4-second lead. He's got 17 career wins from the pole, including 6 in 2013, and he's trying to snap a streak here at Chicago, where the pole sitters never won. One of baseball's great rivalries continues tomorrow night. Key East matchup in the American League. Mariano Rivera and the Yankees look to keep their wild card hopes alive when they face David Ortiz and the division-leading Red Sox. Yanks and the Sox from Fenway Park. It's tomorrow night, 8 Eastern on ESPN. And you can also watch it live on Watch ESPN. Buddy Derek Jeter out for the rest of the
Yeah, it's unfortunate Derek had a tough year. Those Boston bats have come alive here.
Look at the man who's been alive since the start of the race, 54, Kyle Busch. He just put Travis Pastrana a lap down. Pastrana running 19th, and Brian Scott on that right side tire deal. It's not working. He just went a lap down.
Yeah, we saw Dale Earnhardt Jr. made a green flag pit stop. Got 4 tires.
Yeah, his fun meter was pegged.
Yeah.
Jamie, what are you hearing?
Well, first of all, he was saying his car wasn't turning very well, but then he said the right front started shaking so bad he had to pit. Steve Latarda's crew chief said, well, I wanted to pit early anyway, so they went ahead, made track bar wedge adjustment, and put 4 fresh tires on it that time around.
Earnhardt right now in 30th position.
He just needs this to cycle on through these green flag pit stops for everyone, and having these new tires on probably get him a little bit of that track position back that he lost.
Well, his last lap was a 31.8 on the fresh tires. 32.1 for our race leader, Kyle Busch.
You'd like to think there'd be a little more difference in those new tires, Steve.
If you're wondering where second place is, that's the gap. And you just saw how long it took for our cameras to catch up with Joey Logano, with Kyle Busch now leading by just a tick under 5 seconds.
And about 53 laps since they pitted. They might be able to stretch that out if they had to about 60 laps. We should expect to see green flag stops here any minute.
The 5 is on pit road, Jamie.
And Brad Sweet just saying he's a little bit too tight. They're asking for a wedge adjustment here. There it is on the left rear side. 4 tires. They'll fill them up with Sunoco fuel.
And Sweet told me yesterday, I'm so looking forward to these 8 races in a row. I'm finally going to be able to work with the crew, be around. It's going to mean a lot.
Yeah, it's very difficult. These young drivers that don't have a lot of experience in these just to sporadically get in these cars and be expected to go perform.
Dave?
Nelson Piquet Jr. had fallen a couple of positions back to 18th. He said, I've lost overall rear grip. He'll get a chassis adjustment and 4 tire change to help that.
Jamie, the 29's in.
And Kenny Wallace told me coming into this race, he is retiring on sponsorship duty. He said, I'm tired of searching for sponsorship. It could be his last race. 4 tires. Let's go to Dave.
32 of Kyle Larson. He said, a little tight, but not bad. He'll get a 4 tire change. Looks like air pressure adjustment for him. And a clean stop for the 32.
Also pitting, Vince.
The entry's a little bit better for this 11 of Elliott Sadler, but you heard the radio earlier saying they didn't get all the adjustments in from the previous stop, so they did that. Tires and air pressure, Sunoco fuel for Elliott Sadler. Dave?
Brian Scott told his crew, tight center, tight center, tight center. I think they got the message. Big chassis adjustment, 4 tire change for Brian. He lost all the spots he gained on that 2 tire stop previously.
I can tell you Justin Allgaier also made a stop. Travis Pastrana has made a pit stop as well. Here comes Joey Logano down pit road, followed by the 20 of Brian Vickers. Dave?
And he was running along in the 4th position, but really wasn't going forward from that. He said it was a little bit loose at the start of the run, a little bit tight in the long run, so he'll get a 4 tire change and an air pressure adjustment to try to help him. Doc?
22 car in. They wanted to make him stay out till this lap to be able to make it on 1 more stop. They said need to be in a fuel window. They can go 60 laps. Right rear chassis adjustment, 4 tires, getting it full of Sunoco fuel. Vince.
The 33 of Kevin Harvick, a two-time winner here at Chicagoland, still loose. So a track bar adjustment, 4 tires. They're going to have to wait on fuel a little bit here to get him filled up. Sunoco fuel, and away goes Harvick. Doc.
54 car, Kyle Busch. Kyle has no complaints. What a shocker. The car is really running well. He said on the end of the run, it gets a little bit free down low. So they go ahead and make a slight chassis adjustment. 4 tires, no other changes. Got to get it completely full of fuel. Remember, he's a little bit short on fuel.
And there,
with the 3 car of Austin Dillon. And Austin said the adjustments you guys made last time made the car even more tight than it was before. Big air pressure change, left rear. Now they're waiting on fuel. Lengthy pit stop for Austin Dillon, almost 19 seconds.
and you're right, Doc, that could be very costly. Sam Hornish Jr. also made a stop, and Regan Smith dodged a bullet. The 40 of Reed Sorensen was stuck in the middle of pit lane, right in that middle lane, and he had to work his way around. It cost him several seconds. The 7, we can tell you, came in 8th. We'll wait for everybody to cycle on through and give you an idea just how much it may have affected him. Here's what happened. There's the 40 on the left side of the screen.
It doesn't seem to be affecting him right there. I think what happened was how he had to get into his pit stall.
Yep.
The 40 team was just yielding to all these cars that are pitting under green and try not to affect any more of them.
There you see the 3 of Austin Dillon running in the 5th position right now, with Kevin Harvick now shown in 6th.
A long pit stop for the 3 car. It took a long time to get that car full of fuel. Shouldn't take that long.
The race leader, of course, is still Kyle Busch. He has a 7-second lead over second place Joey Logano right now. Behind Logano in 3rd, it's Sam Hornish, Brian Vickers, and Austin Dillon. That is your top 5 here at Chicagoland. It's been a picture-perfect weather day here at Chicagoland Speedway, and it's been pretty perfect for one Kyle Busch. He is one of 4 leaders, but he's led 86 laps so far, has been the dominant race car, and is leading by 7 seconds as we speak. There's been a lot of action going on, especially in the championship battle behind him, as we welcome you back to Chicagoland Speedway as we get close to the halfway point. We have 13 cars on the lead lap, and Kyle Busch is getting ready to probably put Nelson Piquet Jr. down, and we can make it now 12 cars when he gets past the 30. While we've got a moment, let's talk about all these lead lap cars as much as we can. Let's go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance. Dr. Jerry Punch, you're up first.
Well, how about Kyle Busch, the winningest driver in Nationwide Series history with 60 victories. 19 of those have come on 1.5-mile racetracks. He's the only driver to win more than once on a 1.5-mile track this year. He won at Texas and Charlotte both times, driving this same race car, which looked unbeatable, just like it looks here today. Back behind him, Joey Logano, driving the car he won with here back in July in the Nationwide race. Joey said the car has been loose in clean air. They made an air pressure adjustment, tape adjustment on the grill. Joey said the car is better. The question is he good enough to run with Kyle Busch? Back behind him, his teammate and current points leader, Sam Hornish. Sam said in order to get more speed, we've got to be better a third of the center. We need more drive off. He said we just need it for overall speed. They made an air pressure change, waited on fuel. That's why the pit stop was a little bit longer. They waited to get it completely full of fuel to be able to make it if they needed to on one more stop. Dave Burns.
Brian Vickers said to his team, I don't know what you did to this race car, but man, you made it a lot better. So they told him, we dropped the track bar. No other word from the driver at this point. He's happy with the changes they made. Doc?
Back behind him is the 3 car. We showed you the lengthy pit stop for Austin Dillon, 18.7 seconds. Yeah, they dropped the track bar, but they also dropped the fuel can. As the fueler was picking up the second can, it was down on the ground. He tried to pick it up. He dropped it sort of almost, got it back on his shoulder. That was about 2 or 3 seconds it cost him on pit road, and that's the reason for the lengthy stop. Vince.
In 6th is Kevin Harvick. Tomorrow he's in the chase. Today he's just been chasing it. It's been loose the entire race. They made a wedge adjustment the first stop, track bar on the second stop, trying to give Kevin Harvick a little bit more grip out there as he tries to make his way toward the front, Dave.
I asked Kyle Larson how he thinks he's doing in the Nationwide Series. He said, well, one thing I'm learning is I'll drive the race car. If I just give them good feedback, the team will work on it. The first time they came down pit road, they gave him an air pressure adjustment. Next time, a track bar adjustment. He says right now it's a little loose, but we'll see how it comes in. Vince?
Elliott Sadler almost had this race won when we were here in July, but it didn't work out his way, and he ended up 4th. This is the same car he drove that day when he led the most laps. They're hoping for a better finish than they've had a start. It's been a bit of a struggle. All the changes have been positive, Elliott just said, but I need more of it. The 31 of Justin Allgaier. This is a big weekend for Allgaier. Tomorrow he'll make his Sprint Cup Series debut. Today he's in the Nationwide Series. Brandt is his sponsor. It's a local company. They always bring a lot of people here. It's a huge weekend for Allgaier, and right now he's in the top 10. Jamie?
And behind him, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has his Cup crew chief, Steve Letarte, on the box, as well as his over-the-wall crew getting some reps in before tomorrow's big race, number 1 of the chase. Dale Jr. hasn't said much since that last stop where they fixed him up to help that car turn better. So the 88 going forward. Let's go back on upstairs to Marty.
All right, thank you very much. As there's the second place battle going on, and it looks like Sam Hornish Jr. is going to take the spot away from Joey Logano. But both of these cars 7.5 seconds behind Kyle Busch. And Sam made a big run here. He was probably about 20-25 car lengths behind Logano in that 22 after they came back out from the pit stops, but has been utilizing that bottom groove to move up and take that second spot away. Well, we wanted to get back. We talked about the top 10. There's also 2 more cars still on the lead lap. Alex Bowman in 11th. Matt Kenseth is running 12th, but he is in jeopardy of going a lap down. And look at this gap all of a sudden. Is it Sam running that much better, or is it Joey's cars falling off a bit?
Well, look at the lap times. Look like Sam Hornish has picked it up. He's actually quicker than Kyle Busch right now. Quickest on the racetrack.
Yeah, he has. 22 struggling right now. You can see him running this higher groove, which he did the latter part of that last run. But he really looks like he's been struggling here, Doc, since the pit stop.
Absolutely, DJ. He said, you know, what happens is, they said a car runs okay for a couple laps, and then for some reason the car starts to get tight in the middle, and then a lap later it just suddenly jumps loose in, tight in the middle, loose off. He said with no warning whatsoever. So Joey has a bit of a handful there inside that 22 car.
You can see him working that wheel, and Logano, of course, in that owner's championship, the team championship, the way they're running right now, the 22 would lead the 54 by 12 points. There's your top 5 here at Chicagoland. We're past the halfway mark. It's been all Kyle Busch up front. Checking the calendar, of course. The chase begins tomorrow here in Chicagoland with the Geico 400. And coverage begins at 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN as we have a caution on the racetrack right now. We'll get to the caution in just a second. Qualifying tomorrow morning for NHRA Carolina Nationals, 3:30 a.m. on ESPN2. And the finals tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. also on ESPN2. We had debris on the backstretch. That's why we didn't jump out. There is the piece that is in question, among maybe some others scattered about. It does keep Matt Kenseth and Alex Bowman on the lead lap. They were close to going a lap down with Kyle Busch. They are running in 11th and 12th respectively. And remember, we talked about Regan Smith having to dodge a car coming into pit road, the 40 of Reed Sorensen. He also, we found out from the pit studio and pit road, he ran out of fuel on the way in. So that's why he is now in serious trouble, as he is 15th, 1 lap down.
That's a good opportunity for Dale Earnhardt Jr. to get back in sync with the rest of them. He pitted a little earlier on that green flag stretch. Everybody could make it with one more pit stop from here, too, and I think he'll set us up for a good finish.
Well, you want to talk a little pit strategy? Let's listen in on the 54.
We're in a bad spot here. Well short of the last window, 2 sets of tires. We're going to have to come get fuel and save a set. We can't have one set and 40 laps to our last window.
Yeah, what they want to do is save a set of tires for the end. They need fuel. They need to get that now so they can make it on one more stop. But they don't want to waste that last set of tires. Or actually, it would be the next to the last set. They use the last one on their last.
The way he's been running, he could have 4 flats and probably still lead.
They just want to manage what they have here, though.
He has led.
They want to try to save a set for the end.
I understand exactly what you're saying. He has led 103 laps today, and that gives you an idea just how dominant this race car has been. Nelson Piquet Jr. will get the free pass and get back on the lead lap. That'll give us 13 cars. A total of 6 cars are officially listed out of the race. Now notice the gap where the 54 turns down, and then here comes second, third, fourth.
That's the advantage of all those lap cars that were between Kyle Busch and the 12.
Dave, you're up again.
Just past halfway, the crew of the 20 is interested in saving those tires. Fuel only, air pressure adjustment. Car is pretty good for Brian Vickers. Doc?
On a slick racetrack like this, when the fresh tires laid are crucial, they're going to put fuel only in the 12 car. Sam Hornish, they were talking about doing the same thing with Logano and identical with Kyle Busch. They make a slight chassis adjustment for Kyle Busch. He said the car's getting free on a longer run. Busch down and away, 5 seconds, 7 seconds for Hornish, and Logano waiting to come down.
A lot of fuel onlys, and exactly what you were talking about as far as saving that last set of tires when you really were going to need them.
Yeah, the gamble here is who's going to use tires this time and not have them at the end.
Elliott Sadler, that's the highest he's been all day, picks up 2. Harvick loses 2. We'll reset it when we come back. Welcome back to the Nationwide Series race here at Chicagoland Speedway. The Dollar General 300 is powered by Coca-Cola. And make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. We are under our second caution. And let's go back to our race off pit road graphic, because you'll see that the first group of cars through 6th did not take tires, and then from 7th through 12th did take tires. Let's talk about the significance and the roll of the dice.
The guys that took 4 tires are gambling that this race is going to go green. They'll use their last set of tires when they have to pit for fuel going to the end of the race, and that'll put them having better tires to the end than the guys that did not. But now the guys that didn't take tires here might be a little slow on the restart and for this run, but they'll have an extra set at the end should we have a late caution flag that they can come down and get tired.
And Elliott Sadler's crew was explaining that very situation to Elliott.
You know how this works, Elliott. There's going to be some guys in the back that have tires, but it's going to cycle around, and we want tires at the end, not here in the middle of the race. You know, you've run out where you've had to do that at the end of the race and haven't had tires. You know what that's worth.
Yeah, you hear that. It's frustrating. If it works out to where he needs those tires at the end, then good for him. He'll understand better.
Yeah, and the problem with Elliott Sadler, he's the first one that they're going to get to. These 4-tire guys are going to be coming up on him first, so he's likely to lose a lot of spot.
6 cars back on the lead lap as we had a total of 13 wave rounds. The lead lap cars, Bain, Smith, Scott, Wallace, Pastrana, and Swindell. Up front, here goes Kyle Busch again.
Yeah, Sam Hornish there on the outside of him really spun his tires. Steve Vickers trying to make it 3 wide now. That second spot.
Oh, it's the first time we've seen that today, especially that many rows deep. Maybe make it 3 wide with Harvick in that middle of the 33. Boy, did you see the 3-car of Dillon wiggle at the bottom on those bumps?
Yeah, you have that and other cars around you. Really makes it unstable, in your own tires that probably aren't totally cleaned off at this point yet.
Still, look at this. They're going to try this again. Vickers is right in the middle of this mix, and here comes Austin Dillon on the high side. The 33 down low is Harvick.
And he's one of those, the first one now with those fresh 4 tires is Harvick in the 33. Right behind him, we showed you that Kyle Larson in the 32 also had that. And here's the 18 that got 4 tires there that was almost a lap down before that last caution.
And here comes Elliott Sadler. Now remember, fuel only in the 11 car. Look at Vickers on the high side. The 20 ahead of the 33 of Harvick, Kenseth, and Kyle Larson side by side. And here goes Harvick down low. Elliott Sadler trying to get underneath the 32 of Kyle Larson. Remember, Larson had the 4 fresh tires.
You can see Larson still trying to work that high side make it work, which is what he's done most of the day. On fresh tires, when others have fresh tires too, it's not as big of an advantage, but he's getting a huge run right now. Takes him a few laps to come in, and then it really is paying off.
Let's go 3 wide again. In fact, looked like we're going to try and make it 5 for a second. That's Regan Smith, one of the cars that got the wave around, got back on the lead lap. He needed that badly for his championship hopes.
And what he'll need somewhere in this is a caution before he has to pit for fuel.
That group is settled down now with Michael Annett in the 43 in front of Parker Kligerman. Meanwhile,
look at Mac. Yeah, this 18 car is coming alive now.
On the verge of going a lap down, and now Matt Kenseth finds himself running 6th. Battle for the race lead. This is something we haven't seen a lot of today. Somebody putting a lot of pressure on Kyle Busch.
And they're on equal tires too. Neither one got tires under that caution.
Sam Hornish Jr., the points leader coming into this race.
Well, he was loose right there. You can see how you get down on the inside, lose a little bit of that side force that you have with the cars. A little air to that rear spoiler makes a big difference. But this is the best that we saw as Sam came back out from that green flag pit stop earlier, pulled away from the 22. That his car, they made an improvement with it, and this is another example. See how close that really was.
We're able to really dive down in the corner. If he could have got about another quarter of a car length, he could have cleared him.
Let's watch as they go down into turn 3 here side by side, and Horner's trying to take that lead.
And now you can see that it has settled down once again. There is Austin Dillon, now 18 points behind as they run, trying to hold off a charging Kevin Harvick and an all of a sudden newfound life in the 18 of Matt Kenseth. Vince, you got more on this 18 car?
Well, they've definitely been searching for some balance and speed through the first couple of pit stops, but it seems that right rear wedge adjustment on that last stop has finally given Matt Kenseth some of the grip that he needs if they've been fighting a tight condition throughout the course of this race. He's in the chase tomorrow, but boy, they'd like to get a win here for this 18 team in the Nationwide Series today.
He restarted in the 11th position. You can see he's picked up 6 spots.
He's taking advantage of those 4 tires.
There you see Austin Dillon also in the mix. Where's the race leader? Right there, Kyle Busch, a half a second lead as he is that far ahead of Sam Hornish. The action here at Chicagoland Speedway with 75 to go as you see Kyle Larson has just gotten around Kevin Harvick in what was a really nice duel between these two, and looks like it may heat up again because Harvick's trying to get back underneath the 21-year-old. Kyle Busch is our race leader by a second over Sam Hornish Jr. And this is one of the best battles we have going on the track right now.
Yeah, and Harvick on those fresh tires that he has too had kind of moved his way up there, got up to the top 5, but has lost a couple of spots back to Austin Dillon and Kyle Larson now.
These new tires haven't been the advantage I thought they would be for these guys that took them. So you still see Kyle Busch, Sam Hornish, and those 2 cars are leading without tires.
I think we'll see that become more of a factor here as we see Dale Jr. now making a pass on Brian Vickers. But as the laps wind down, Kenseth, who was almost a lap down there a while ago, has worked his way all the way up to 3rd now and then running some fast times. So we'll see if they become an advantage as those older tires that these guys have get even older, and that could make a big difference.
Remember, we heard a while back Brian Vickers was really happy with his race car, but he has just slipped back at the expense of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Jr. up to 8th, Vickers to 9th.
All right,
you know, we talked about the pit stops and tires and the allocation of such valuable material.
Yeah, you see the net effect of the guys that got 4 tires, at least to this point of the run. Matt Kenseth is doing the best with his tires. He's all the way up to 3rd. But Kyle Larson also has gained some with his. And Harvick is he's kind of in the middle.
Junior's picked up 4 spots. Actually, Allgaier has dropped a spot, and Alex Bowman dropped 2 spots. And speaking of Kyle Larson, here he comes with a run on the 3. And there's nothing Austin Dillon can do on this move.
No, just get out of the way. This guy's going somewhere.
Wow. So move Larson into the top 5. Now remember, he started this race 39th because he spun during qualifying. And it looks like he's got enough race car to track down the 22. Dave, what are you hearing on this 32 car?
Marty, part of the reason why he's so good today is a universal change to that 32 car. It was so loose here in July, he could hardly drive it. Now, it's been loose at times during the course of today's race, but not so loose that it was out of control. So it's a much better platform for Kyle today, and he's been able to hustle that race car when he needs to, like right now with Logano.
That might be something this team's learned, that this driver may like a car that is a little bit tighter. Even though he drives these dirt cars and runs on that right rear, it might work for him to have a car that's a little bit tighter.
Yeah, and so many times a young driver will come in here hearing about these drivers driving these cars loose. You may drive one a little bit freer than someone else, but they're not loose. You can't hustle it. And that was a valuable lesson that he learned back here in July, that hey, if I'm going to hustle this car, and you have to drive these things hard, because we came here with the expectations that he may challenge for a win in July, and he really looked like he was out to lunch. So we can see the difference that it made just coming back here a second time and realizing what he needed in his car to be aggressive.
Out to lunch, and he still managed to come home 12th that day. So interesting dichotomy here as he is pulling away from Joey Logano as he has taken over that spot and moved into the 4th position. And, you know, he could be one of the trendsetters here at a first-time potential winner. 4 of the 12 drivers with wins at Chicago got their first career win right here.
He does have an advantage right now with those 4 fresh tires, but that doesn't negate the fact that we've talked about him all day coming from the back of the pack.
Whatever's going on in that 22 car, it's going in the wrong direction for Logano, because here comes Austin Dillon putting some pressure on.
Yeah, we've seen this with the 22. Since they made that green flag pit stop, changed tires, whatever adjustments they made, that just wasn't to the liking of Joey Logano and this race car. And he's going to continue to slide back because they're going to be able to get back in and adjust the car some more.
Yeah, and they decided to stay on that set of tires, too. So they're one of those that are out there kind of vulnerable to the guys that are on 4 tires without their car being really like they need it.
Everybody's trying to chase down Kyle Busch, his 0.8 of a second lead over points leader Sam Hornish Jr. 3rd is Matt Kenseth, who just 1 caution ago was on the verge of going a lap down. There he is in 3rd with Larson and Logano rounding out the top 5 with 65 to go.
Back in Chicagoland, but interstate rivals square off tonight on ABC. Brian Kelly's 21st ranked Fighting Irish aim to rebound from their loss in Ann Arbor with a road victory under the lights versus the Boilermakers. Saturday Night Football presented by Windows. Notre Dame versus Purdue tonight at 8 Eastern on ABC. Meanwhile, here at Chicagoland Speedway, as we come inside the Quicken Loans ESPN pit studio with Rusty, Brad, and Ray, I'm Nicole. Kyle Busch still out front, but our eyes are on the drivers competing for the championship. And as they run right now, Sam Hornish Jr. is leading the way in 2nd, and he's stretching his lead just a little bit in this championship. For you, though, R-Dub, you're looking at that 11.
I am looking at the 11. Elliott Sadler confuses me, Nicole, every week how the 54 car, his teammate, continues to outrun him so much. I think it's about time now that he tries to tap into that information more, what Kyle Busch is doing, to get this 11 car running faster and get it up in the hunt, because right now he's lost points so far in today's race. And if you remember, when I first started off, I said, I'm going to be watching him. Can he get his mojo back? Can he get the consistency going? And I haven't seen it come back yet today.
No, for me, it's Sam Hornish. I think, a couple of weeks ago I made a comment that I think it's his championship to lose. He's put himself in a great position today. Got a fast race car. Should challenge for opportunity possibly with another restart to get a victory. Sam Hornish is extending his lead today.
And for me, I'm looking at two cars. Obviously, in the beginning I said Austin Dillon would have a good day against the Cup guys. He is doing a good job holding his own, keeping that car up front, doing what he has to do. But then by the same token, we looked at the number 7 having a problem on pit road. They made a mistake, ran the car out of gas early in the race. That's put him out of sequence, which has now kept him a lap down. Could be big trouble for the 7 car today if they don't get that car back in position.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You all agreed it was a two-man race, a race between Hornish and Dillon, correct?
No, I don't agree that it's a two-man race. I thought the 7 and the 11 could get back in there. I think there's still time, but they've got to come out of here with a good day to do that today.
They got to go, Marty.
Yes, they do, Nicole, and because right now, 42 points between first and fourth. Dave?
No fire in the belly of the 60 right now. They ran it out of fuel, unfortunately. So they will make their wedge and tire adjustments, fill it full of fuel, and spray fuel in through the cowl to try to get it refired. But Pastrana came in without power, and unfortunately they went just a little bit too long. He was one of the wave-around cars on that last caution.
Trying to crank it up.
And right now he's dropping. He's 1 lap down in 20th position. Could go 2 laps down if they can't get this car refired.
Yeah, it's always difficult, and he looked like he got in awfully quick, even though he was out of fuel. So hopefully he wasn't speeding there too. But they haven't even gotten into the point of getting it restarted yet.
Yeah, more times than not, when you bring a car in out of fuel.
Do we have the ignition switch up? Do we have the ignition switch up? Keep trying to crank it.
Without the engine running, they don't have a RPM reference to go by.
Well, Pastrana's finished outside the top 10 in the last 6 races. This looks like it's going to be number 7 because he's about to go 3 laps down. In fact, he just did. He's 23rd on the track.
Yeah, he finally got it fired up.
Meanwhile, Joey Logano, as he has dropped back as deep as he has been all day, 8th place. That's Brian Vickers in the 20 behind him. And what it means with Kyle Busch in that 54 running up front, the Owners' Championship has been cut to 7. With the 22 car still leading, but only by 7 points.
Yeah, between his handling going away on this car and then 4 cars that have passed him and moved and put him back to 8 have those new tires, so has made a difference.
Doc, do you have any cure from the 22's camp?
No, but they're trying to soothe their driver. Basically, they know he's on old tires. They know they couldn't fix it, as Andy and DJ mentioned, when they didn't change tires last time. They said, and I quote, "Hey, Joey, we know it's painful right now, but we'll get you back in here soon, bud, and we'll get those spots back." Right now, very loose and clean air. He said, just hang on the best you can. They're thinking about maybe pitting around lap 155. Go ahead and put some tires on before this thing gets so bad where he can't even drive it.
Yeah, their last pit stop was on lap 109, so that gives you an idea on this 1.5-mile track how far they're needing to go. In fact, we are getting on the verge of seeing a lot of green flag pit stops.
Well, I think Joey can go a little bit farther than that. He just wants to try to get in maybe a little early, take advantage of those, put some new tires on here.
Well, Kyle Busch's lead is back up to 2.4 seconds over Sam Hornish Jr. And Matt Kenseth, who was on the verge of going a lap down, is in third, just 4 seconds behind Kyle. And that's, of course, tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern, we'll be on the air with a countdown as you get a look high above. There's nothing wrong with your television set. That's the way they actually cut the grass, and it gives it a little effect, like it almost has a ripple effect to it. It's kind of neat job. Not such a neat job right now for Joey Logano. As you can see, he has been falling back into the clutches now of Brian Vickers. Logano is in 9th position. Could lose it to the 20 car. They have got their hands full trying to hang on until the next pit stop when they can get some fresh tires.
We've heard them talk about coming early. And actually, you heard them say they might want to come around lap 155. We're past that now.
He is 15 seconds behind the race leader, Kyle Busch, who has led 150. And the 11 car, Elliott Sadler. And there's contact with the 24. That is Brett Butler. Flat right front, damage in the rear. And Elliott.
I don't know if the right front went flat. And Elliott got in this accident or whether it happened after the fact.
Elliott was running 11th at the time. The 24 car was Brett Butler 11 laps down in 32nd.
Now, you can see Elliott Sadler right here. I believe he was maybe trying to get to pit road.
Oh, man.
Yep. That's a bad break right there. I'll tell you what, Brett Butler. That's what do you think, Dale? That's a mistake on Butler's part.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And you know, just fact of not running at these speeds very often can contribute to something exactly like that. And unfortunately, it's Elliott Sadler getting that.
Butler's making his 3rd nationwide start. It's not going to go down in the record books as a very good one.
Yeah, this is not going to work out good for Elliott. He's got damage in the rear. This right front coming apart.
Boy, he's limping around right now. He's halfway between 3 and 4, trying to make.
Listen to me one day.
Is that reference to the tire issue?
Well, I don't know. Maybe he wanted to get tires when everybody else did, and they actually just got fuel.
Yeah, I would say that probably is because, you know, historically here, a lot of green flag racing.
Well, he has made it to pit lane, but you can see he's going to go a lap down and maybe even more as they try and fix this damage and the hit that he is taking in the championship as the whole fender now has just shredded.
Right front, guys. Right rear's gone and right front.
Almost impossible.
Pass them tools, get that right front tire cleared.
Right front fender off in that situation.
Plenty of time, guys. Anything clearance that's going to cause an issue here, and then get ready to put tires on this thing so we can get caught back up. Got about 30 seconds here, guys. 30 seconds. So get it to where we can. Left front tire is flat. Tires on the right side. Put tires on the right side. Get tires on this thing, boys. Get tires on this left side. We'll get caught back up. Come back and do it. Go get called up. We'll come back.
The field is in turn number 4. You heard Chris Gale telling them, go on back out. We'll work on it next lap as they come around. They're trying to stay just 1 lap down. Here come the race leaders with 41 laps to go. Dave, you're up first again.
Marty, Kyle Larson drove from 7th to 3rd. We saw that, but it was just a little bit too loose at the initial go. So they're making a chassis adjustment and a 4-tire change. Vince?
The 18 of Matt Kenseth's still a little too free on entry and a little snug off. So they're going to try to give him some help in that regard, and we'll see if it pays off, Doc.
Sam Hornish getting tight late in the run. Left front, right rear air pressure change. 4 tires fuel. Behind him, down below, Kyle Busch and I am a 4 loose. But I think if you put tires on it, I'll be okay. Don't want it to get too tight, so no adjustment. It's 4 tires and away. Kyle down in 13.1 seconds.
And the race off pit road as everybody holds station in the top 3. Austin Dillon picks up 2. Brian Vickers picks up 4. Kevin Harvick, the loser here, along with Dale Earnhardt Jr., they each drop 2 spots. As we head to break, one more look as Elliott Sadler's championship hopes just got rear-ended. Back here at Chicagoland Speedway, we're about a 45-minute to an hour's drive, depending on traffic. There's downtown Chicago and Joliet to the southwest, as those cars that are taking the wave around have made their way back around. And the 77 of Parker Klingerman gets the free pass. 14 total, but only 3 get back on the lead lap. The 7 of Regan Smith, the 6 of Trevor Bayne, and the 2 of Brian Scott. Now let's talk about Kyle Busch. In 2013, when he's done double duty, here are his results the following day in competition. What do you think?
Well, he's pretty spectacular everywhere, but he certainly has some really good days and a couple that weren't of the making. But Yeah, it's just amazing what he can do.
He won the truck race last night. He's already doubled up here back in 2008, winning the Nationwide and Cup races. Could he go 3 for 3? He's the only person that's ever done it. Did it Bristol a few years back. As we're getting ready to go back to green flag racing, he's had the dominant car, led 157 laps. He's picked the inside. Sam Hornish Jr. to his right. We're green with Larson, Dillon, Kenseth, and Vickers, your top 6. Here we go 3 wide again.
You can see Logano back there on that high side trying to make that 3 wide work from the top.
And almost dropped out of the top 10. He's got fresh tires now. And he's going around the high side of Matt Kenseth. Gosh, look at Busch. Just opens up the lead. Look at Kyle Larson. He's on the high side. Whoa, some smoke from the 32.
Yeah, I think he's got a little tire rub. Looks like some contact on the left front fender. Him and Sam Hornish, I think, came together coming off of turn 4.
You didn't touch anybody, did you?
He has cost him. It's cost him a couple of positions as here comes the 20 and the 3 around him, but he's fighting back.
Trying to find this.
Caution's out.
And the caution is out. We have debris on the track. So after going most of this race, caution-free with 2, we have 2 more, pretty much back-to-back.
Big break for those waiver rounds right there. One of those being a championship contender with Regan Smith in that 7 car. Just the break that he was needing.
Yeah, he's shown 14th right now and on the lead lap.
Yeah, just trying to figure out what happened with Kyle Larson. He was racing. He'd actually passed Sam Hornish for 2nd and cleared him off of 4, and then I don't know if he touched the wall or they got together. He's trying to find, I can't see really any damage to the car. You can see right here, they were really close. He just cleared Sam.
You can see a little bit smoke there already.
Yeah, that's not, I guess no contact there.
Now the question is it serious enough that he's going to have to come to pit road? He started 39th in this race. He has dropped back to 5th now after the tire run. And he is obviously going to stay out there because they think maybe it will not harm his chances as we have 35 laps to go here at Chicagoland. The chase begins tomorrow right here at the Geico 400 at Chicagoland Speedway. Our coverage begins at 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. And of course, the crew will update you on all the penalties and the moves by NASCAR. Now, let's check in with the in-race reporter. As you can see, the qualifying for the North Carolina Nationals at 3:30 a.m. on ESPN2. The finals will be at 8:30 p.m. on ESPN tomorrow. DJ?
Hey, Justin, Dale Jarrett, you with us?
Yeah, Dale, go ahead.
All right, I know you're going to get ready to get back to green flag racing here in a minute. Going to be about 30 laps to go inside the top 10. What have you got for them from here?
I'll be honest with you, Dale. We struggled a little bit here on these restarts, but long run, our Winfield brand Camaro is pretty good. So I need to try and get going here as quickly as I can. If we can get a good start here, I think we can maintain or maybe pass a few of these guys in front of us. But definitely got to get a good restart here.
Okay, good luck. Have fun, buddy.
Thanks, Dale.
And as it stands, Justin Allgaier has dropped a spot in the championship chase as Brian Vickers has taken the 5th spot, at least temporarily, away from him. Now let's go back and check on the 32. And Andy, we were watching the left rear tire, right?
Yeah, I think you might see this. Look, either the track bar mount is giving up or they made an adjustment. But you can see right there on the left rear corner of the car, it looks like that left rear tire is rubbing. Initially, I thought I saw some damage on the front fenders, but then after looking at it, it looks like it's just the paint scheme. There's not really any damage there at all. I don't think he's hit anything.
Let's listen in on the radio.
Everything feel okay. Others are smelling the smoke, right? Just feel like it was move around. The handle's fine. It was just smoking.
See it shine that left rear tire up too. That's a sign that it's been rubbing.
Rusty, you got a theory on this?
Well, I think I do. I mean, if these guys have lowered the left side air pressure to make some adjustments to get some grip out of this car, I've seen it many times where everything's fine, and all of a sudden they come down pit road, drop the left side air pressure a little bit. That sidewall, that tire flexes, causes that smoke. Now, after he runs for a while, it should go away.
Well, he's going to restart 5th. He dropped a few spots. It's Kyle Busch, Sam Hornish Jr., Brian Vickers, Austin Dillon, Kyle Larson. That's your top 5. Joey Logano has moved back up to 6th. Matt Kenseth is 7th. Kevin Harvick is 8th. Here we go.
Hornish able to hang tight on that outside this time.
Kyle has not pulled away, and look at Logano trying to use that high side to his advantage.
Busch is so strong, he just doesn't let up. I mean, he doesn't have to get out of the throttle.
30 laps to go. 3 wide for 2nd place. Look at Vickers.
Yeah, how about Austin Dillon to the high side of that? He made it 3 wide on the top. Took that 2nd spot away.
And Dillon's doing what he needs to do, which is get ahead of Sam Hornish.
He's catching Kyle a little bit too.
So all of a sudden the 3 has come to life. Joey Logano's back in the mix with fresh tires.
Still see a little smoke from the 32 car.
And Larson,
I just wonder, they run a really soft spring, a lot of them do in the left rear of these, if that thing might be giving up with all the bumps and everything here too.
Logano in 4th. Hornish right in front of him in 3rd. I tell you, Larson has dropped back to 7th now. He restarted 5th. The Penske teammates side by side.
Vickers well, you see Austin Dillon arc that thing into the turn. Actually got a little bit loose on him though, but see how late he was trying to enter that corner.
Yeah, and you can see that he had to get out of the throttle there some too, and gave Sam Hornish a big run, trying to get down and side draft a little bit to impede Hornish's progress. Not able to do that.
1st place in the points, retakes the position from 2nd place in the points. And Kyle Busch continues to lead substantially.
You know, Logano's right there. He'd like to be able to get around the 3. That would be a benefit to his teammate too, just by hard racing.
I think it was just a mistake on Dillon's part to get into turn 1 that cost him that spot. I think his car's actually a little better.
He's coming back on him on the low side. I think you're right, Andy, but look at this. He has cleared him.
It looked like he had his car handling so well, he thought he could really arc it down into turn 1 and maybe gain some time on Kyle Busch. And just crank it out there just a little too far.
Yeah, I think when he was in that 3 wide situation that he made that work, but he didn't have to make that. He didn't have to make that big a turn as he did. And there's Kyle Larson. Andy, I think you hit the nail on the head, maybe with the track.
Cut the left rear there. Left rear just cut.
Is out, and the left rear.
Wow.
It is shredded.
And I think what happened was that thing, the track bar mount must have been giving up on the car. And just kept letting the rear end go over more and more.
Take it straight to the garage. Straight to the garage, guys.
That's a shame. What a great run he had to that point.
Started 39th after spinning in qualifying. He was running in the 7th position, and now he's got himself one torn up race car through no fault of his own.
That's just a tough break because they really had a fast car today, all weekend really.
He's trying to drive it back to pit road. He's heading into turn number 3, but there is the debris. It's going to take NASCAR a few laps to clean this mess up. There are pieces scattered for about 300 yards at least.
Yeah, he had been losing some ground to the cars he'd been racing. You know, he was when we first saw the smoke, he was running 3rd, and he had slipped all the way back. And he's back over here now, getting into the corner. Tire had already let go. Really lucky he didn't hit any harder.
Let's go on board with Matt Kenseth. Mentioned all the debris.
Yeah, it starts taking out the wheel well, inner fender panels. That's just scattered debris everywhere. And then you start seeing the foam from inside the door.
Pit lane is open. None of the race leaders are coming. And you can see that Kyle has made it back to pit road. We had 1 caution in the first 107 laps. We've had 4 cautions since. And we have 24 laps to go in a race that's been dominated by Kyle Busch. Stay with us. Next week, the NASCAR Nationwide Series heads to Sparta, Kentucky. For tickets to that event and other upcoming races on the schedule, all you got to do is go to NASCAR.com/tickets. And we'll see you in Kentucky. We'll be on ESPN2 in case you can't make it at 3:30 Eastern next Saturday. Doc, what's going on with the 54 car?
Remember, I told you that Kyle had said the car had gotten a 4 loose, but ask Adam Stevens not to make an adjustment on that last pit stop just to put tires on it. Adam, how concerned are you that the car may start to get loose here in these final 20-some laps?
Well, there's always a concern, but when we took fuel only back on lap 109 or 110, we just ended that run with so many laps on our tires. Then you're out of sequence with the fuel load and the tires on the car. So I wasn't surprised by it getting loose, and the track's kind of doing what it normally does. You know, there's a lot of laps left in this race. Anything can happen, but you know, I appreciate Nationwide Insurance bringing us here. I love this track. I love these old surfaces, and you know, we got the man behind the wheel, this Monster Energy Camry that can get it done.
Dominating today, but a little concerned there. Remember, they also know that a pole sitter has never won a nationwide race here. Worried these final 20 laps. Vince.
22 laps to go with Danny Stockman. He's the crew chief for Austin Dillon, currently sitting second. Just 7 hard laps on the tires that you've got right now, Danny. What kind of condition is the car in regards to its handle?
Well, the car is pretty good. It's probably the best we've been all day so far, but just fighting a little bit tight right now. Obviously, the 54 and the 12 have been the class of the field all day, and we just got to see what we can do to try to get around that 54 and try to keep the 12 behind us, gain as many points as we can. And it's just been a good day. Boys on pit road been good, and we'll see what we can do here.
Thanks. Marty?
And right now he's ahead of Sam Hornish Jr., who is in 3rd on this restart. So he's actually picked up 1 valuable point in the championship chase, cut it to 15 as we stand right now. Jamie, what's the latest on the 32 of Kyle Larson?
Well, they ended up bringing it back to the garage, and there's about 4 or 5 NASCAR officials looking at the car, telling them right now they need a crush panel on the left rear side to make it legal. I see a helmet coming out of the window. Looks like Kyle Larson is about to climb from the car. I think they're done for the day.
Okay, thanks, Jamie. There's a lot of damage there, Andy.
Yeah, I think we're going to look in there and see right where that area. You can see the track bar mount right here. That thing could have been actually flexing a little bit and causing that tire rub. You see how low that track bar is mounted there. The bracket is all the way on the bottom of the bracket, and that causes it to have some leverage on it. Let that tire move over till it rubbed a hole in it.
We can tell you Kevin Swindell will get the free pass. That gives us 17 cars back on the lead lap. There is Kyle, he's out of the car. Back out on track, on the restart, it'll be Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon on the front row, then Sam Hornish and Joey Logano, then Brian Vickers, Kevin Harvick in row 3. Let's go back a little bit earlier, because you guys were talking about how arcing the corner sometimes pays off and sometimes it doesn't, depending on what you do with the car.
Yeah, here Austin Dillon made a great move to make it 3 wide. You see him arc it in the corner, but not turn it all the way to the bottom, and that carried a ton of speed. You can see he's actually gaining on Kyle Busch with all of that momentum.
But then a little bit later.
Yeah, later he tried that same move. Which is actually, this is not the lap that I was wanting to reference to, but he had arced it into that corner the same way, but took it all the way to the bottom of the racetrack, and it got a little out from under him.
And he passes the 12 here, but then all right, let's talk to the driver of that 32 car. How about it, Jamie Little?
Heck of a run today. Started 39th, drove up to 2nd. You said there was no contact on the radio, but what were you feeling when we saw that smoke?
Yeah, there was never any contact. I don't know if the speeds, that was probably the fastest I've been going all day, so I don't know if the speeds had the left rear down or what, but the fender was rubbing the tire and, you know, finally ended up blowing it out. So tough day for us. We had a really good Snickers Chevy. You know, I was excited about it yesterday after practice, and then you know, I had that trouble in qualifying, but knew we'd be fine in the race, and we were. We got up to second, like you said, and then I had that problem. But you know, just hats off to my guys for, you know, giving me a great car. We weren't very good here last time, and you know, they gave us a, you know, really good piece here. So you know, thank Nationwide Insurance, Snickers, Turner Scott Motorsports, all the fans. We'll probably be in tune for a heck of a finish here.
It was a great day for Kyle Larson until it ended early. Let's go to Doc.
Greg Irwin made an air pressure change for points leader Sam Hornish. Greg, did the air pressure change help you? Do you have something for the 3 and the 54?
Well, it has most of the day. Our Worth Mustang's been terrific. We've been able to stay in the top 5. We made that last change there. Got a little bit tight getting going. I think it might have just been the air pressure, so it's going to be a good one here.
Going to jump back on the headset. Getting ready to go green, Marty.
Absolutely. Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon, front row.
Hey, way to be a bulldog there with that 12. I mean, he didn't get going at all. I just way to pounce on him.
That 22 is going to try to make 3 wide again down here. You'll know that.
Well, we're about to find out because we're going back green. 19 to go. Four wide. I saw one car, DJ, getting very loose. Couldn't figure out who it was, but
like Matt Kenseth maybe got extremely loose and got put in the middle there.
Logano, he's in 4th. Kyle Busch just opens the lead back up. The battles for second between 1st and 2nd in the championship drivers points race.
And every point matters in these last 8 races.
Dillon pulls ahead of Hornish. Uh-oh, they make contact. Yes, Regan Smith. First it was Elliott Sadler. Now Regan Smith. And the caution is out again. He was running 10th, fought his way back to the lead lap, and now this. Andy, your prediction of it being a 2-car race may come true by the end of this one.
Yeah, that's a bad break for Regan. He, like I said, he worked his way back to the lead lap after having just a terrible day so far. And it goes back the other way again. Now you can see right here he's running underneath our in-race reporter, Justin Allgaier. Did Allgaier get in the wall?
Allgaier got in the wall, and Regan had been chasing his car up there because it was on the free side.
From the 7 on board, we'll just listen.
Just the 31. Just the 31. In the wall.
Well, you're right. They were both out of control.
Yeah.
Hold on to it. Get those tires ready, boys.
On board with Justin Allgaier.
Still there. 88-2 back in your lane. Still there. Got a run on him. Oh. All right, he's wrecking. 88 inside.
Looked like Allgaier was tight.
No caution yet.
And a lot of times that car that's on the inside of you there, you're kind of feeling that you're trying to give a little bit more room, but that air from him's pushing you up there too.
The 7 got to my left rear and it just pushed it hard right, and I hit the fence coming off the 2.
So for Allgaier, who is running in the top 10, he's being forced to pit. And there is the 7 of Regan Smith, still out on track. Now he'll make his way down pit road, trying to stay on the lead lap if they can. So as these two cars try and get themselves back out on the racetrack, let's check in the Quicken Loans ESPN Pits studio and let's talk a little points, gang.
Yeah, absolutely. When this day began, the big question was, with 8 races to go, is this now a 2-man race or a 4-man race? If you took a poll in here of at least those 3, it was one who said 2-man, the other two said 4-man. Has that now changed in light of the problems for Elliott Sadler and Regan Smith?
Well, it looks rough for those 2 guys you just mentioned, Sadler and Regan, but I'm the type of driver that never gives up. I say it's not over till it's over. And I've seen this thing be in a position like this a couple times before, and the guys make those points up, and they get back up in track right now. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a 2-man race because I still don't believe it. I still think there's 4 or 5 guys in this thing because these 2 top guys can still have problems. There's a lot of races left.
5? Regan Smith is 63 down at this point.
Andy Petrie and I were correct in saying there were only 2 left, and you all were wrong. So we'll see what happens. Now, there's a lot of racing left. Obviously, anything can happen, but I'm still a firm believer that it's Sam Hornish's championship to lose at this point.
Well, you know, I agree with Rusty. Anything can happen, but I am more attuned to saying, okay, it may be a 2-man race based on the performance that we saw today. You know, the 3 and the 12 have simply outrun the 11, you know, and the 7. And I think that that's going to be the bigger problem. Not is something going to happen and make points up. I just think that the 3 and the 12 are outrunning those 2 cars.
Today was a big race for me to watch for Elliott Sadler. I looked at him and I thought he really needs to turn the corner and right the ship. He didn't do that. It wasn't his problem that he got wrecked, but still, he's in a bad situation again.
And I will admit I looked at the wrong number. Regan is actually only 41 back. I will say this, Marty, 2-man race, unless those top 2 have trouble as well.
Well, and Regan Smith got back and stayed on the lead lap. He's shown in 18th position.
It's nice to know great minds think alike.
I was going to say, as our worst nightmares come true, Brad and Andy right on the same day. We're in trouble.
All right, let's get ready for the restart. It's going to be Kyle Busch again with Austin Dillon up front. Kyle's taking the low side all day long, trying to double up from last night's truck win. Sam Hornish, Joey Logano in row 2. Row 3 is Kevin Harvick and Mr. Vickers. We're back to green.
Logano giving the 3-car a little shove. Will that keep him up beside that 54?
Looks like it might.
And he's got a nose in front of him.
Well, he's going to have to stay wide open because Kyle Busch is not lifting down here in 3.
And look at Harvick going underneath the 12. Good Lord.
You're right about Kyle. He did not lift going into turn 3. Look at the gap he pulled on Austin Dillon.
Logano down on the apron trying to get underneath Harvick in that 33. Earnhardt Jr. And that's Vickers in the 20. Looked like Harvick may have just touched the wall lightly there.
Really close to the did for sure.
That just shows you just how on the edge these cars are.
Next time by, 12 laps to go. Let's go 3 wide.
Well, Vickers decided to make it 3 wide by going to the middle. That's what was open at the time.
3 guys that are going to be in the chase tomorrow. Risk versus reward right now. They may be having a lot of fun until somebody makes a big mistake.
Well, they're not thinking about tomorrow right now. This is just all about what they can get here right now.
What's allowed is that first group to sort of pull away, though. As you can see, top 4 have opened up a gap. There is your race leader, Kyle Busch. He's led 183 laps so far today. Austin Dillon, Sam Hornish Jr., and Joey Logano. That's your top 4.
It's been impressive to watch Austin Dillon work on this race car, for them to work on it and him come back up through the other day. Because he could have very easily lost some points to Sam Hornish, and he may well yet before this is over, but to put himself in this position, because we've seen the 12 and the 22 be in that second and third spot most of the day.
I'm amazed just how close the 12 and the 22 have been all day. They've been right next to each other virtually the whole race. Cars are almost identical the way they perform.
10 laps to go. Joey Logano taking a look underneath the 12. And he's cleared. So now that's 2 points to the good for Austin Dillon.
Yeah, as long as he can hold Logano off.
I don't know if he can. Joey Logano's really, this is about the best run he's had today. He's trying to still earn points for the Owners' Championship. And he's racing that 54 for that. He has a 12, the 22 has a 12-point lead at this point.
And the 22 is an interesting story because remember, he was on the same strategy as the 11 car of Elliott Sadler. They hung it out there, did not take tires. It didn't pay dividends for Elliott Sadler, but it has for Joey Logano when he got his fresh tires.
Yeah, and this is one thing. When you have speed in a race car, you know, you can make up deficits like what they put themselves in. They had a good pit stop, made up a couple of spots because they'd fallen back to 9th or 10th out there running on those older tires. But here they are battling for second once again.
Yeah, Joey Logano's thinking about winning this thing. He's got 8 laps to try to catch Kyle Busch.
And remember, as he goes around Austin Dillon for second place, the Owners' Championship, the team title between the 22 that came in leading and the 54 of Kyle Busch. Right now, as they run, it would be 13 points separating the two, with the 22 still in the lead.
Joey Logano beat Kyle Busch by almost 3/10 last lap. I don't know if he can keep that pace up. If he does, he'll catch him.
Next time by 6 laps to go, and of course Kyle Busch is looking for his 10th win of the season.
So what you have here is 2 guys racing for the drivers' points. You got 2 guys racing for the owners' points. And they're all 1, 2, 3, 4.
And here comes Sam Hornish closing down on the 3 for third.
They decided to try that line that his teammates been using there, get a huge run off turn 2, and that might get him that 3rd spot.
And he has cleared him. And that was one thing Sam talked about yesterday when I ran into him. He said, I am not going to change my styles. We have picked up a lot of ground late in the race when I've been aggressive. We just saw another sign of it.
Yeah, he was aggressive, plus paying attention to see how his teammate Joey Logano had gotten around him, utilizing that top groove a little bit more here, making a lot of speed.
5 laps to go. And now Austin tries the low line. Didn't work. And this battle has sort of cooled off. Meanwhile, there is Kyle Busch, and I keep going back to last week where we saw Brian Scott lead a dominating 239 laps only to lose the race. And we mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, only one out of the last 5 races where the dominant car leading the most laps has gone on to win the race here at Chicagoland. Well, Kyle Busch is trying to make it 2 out of 6.
The only thing looks like it's going to keep Kyle from winning is going to be a late caution here.
Well, nobody's beating him off the line, even on the restarts.
I was going to say, it might take more than that. You know.
Might, like an anchor tied to his bump.
That tire, yeah, penalty of some kind. Yeah, it's just been phenomenal today. I mean, that car has really been solid, and Kyle just does such a great job with these nationwide cars and the lower horsepower that they have and getting the car exactly where he needs it on these high-speed tracks.
Last night's truck race, he denied Brad Keselowski his first ever win in the Truck Series. Seems hard to believe that Keselowski, a Sprint Cup champion, has never won in the Truck Series, but he's finished second 5 times, thanks to Kyle Busch again last night. And here's Kyle trying to go 2 for 2 for the weekend with a chance to triple it up.
Yeah, he's led the most laps, but just barely. He led 193 laps so far over Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s 2. He's second in laps led.
And you got Logano here running second in this race. It'll start on the pole tomorrow.
White flag is out, and maybe, just maybe, in a mile and a half, the hex will be broken for pole sitters. The pole sitter has never won here at Chicagoland in the Nationwide Series until maybe now. Just a couple of more corners for the 54 of Kyle Busch. His career leading 61st win as he's heading for the stripe, 10th of the year, most of all drivers this season. Here he comes for the checkered flag, and he makes it look so easy. Second place, Joey Logano.
We did our job. That's all you can do. Appreciate it, guys. Good job.
Hornish, Dillon, Jr., your top 5. There's 6 through 10 across the top of the screen. And so now he is 2 for 2 on the weekend. And the big one coming tomorrow.
Yeah, it is coming tomorrow, and it's actually my pick earlier in the year, but I said again yesterday, to win his first Sprint Cup championship. I really believe he's poised to do that.
Remember his record-setting year when he had 13 wins in a season? He has 10 now this year in a limited schedule, winning at almost a 50% rate.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Now, last night's truck race, he almost fell out when he did his donuts. Remember?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if maybe he may rethink this.
He might make an adjustment.
Put a safety belt around him or something? I don't know.
I don't know. What are we going to see?
He mentioned his 13 wins in 2010. He has 10 this year, 10 in 08. And Sam R., the only other man that has 10 in 1983.
I think maybe Samantha and Joe Gibbs might have had something to do with that. Between the two of them, maybe a little influence on that.
Either that or maybe NASCAR said, we don't want to see you get run over by your own car if you fall out. As he clocks, listen to the cheers. About that, Andrew? There was a day when all you would ever heard was boos.
Yeah, pretty dominating performance today, though.
He won't be a wide receiver for any football team, but he sure can drive a race car. Now, we mentioned last night's truck race. Here's what we were talking about.
Yeah, this is the one thing that could hurt his chances of winning a Sprint Cup championship, is having to fall out of one of these things.
No, it's almost right here.
Right there. Yeah, I thought he was going out of that thing.
I don't know how you do that, DJ.
I wouldn't have any idea. No, trust me.
Here's from his onboard. Well, another unbelievable performance, leading 195 of the 200 laps. And believe it or not, we actually had 4 different leaders. Well, while we wait for Kyle to make it to victory lane, let's check in with Dave Burns.
Got it with 4th place, Austin Dillon. Austin, when I talked to you and Danny earlier today, you talked about finishing the race, making your car better at the end. You gave up a couple of spots. Did you improve in that department?
Yeah, we did, man. We had a good car all day, and just we lost a little track position in the middle of the race. We got it back. Raced hard at the end, just too tight. I wanted to free up a little bit more, but it's pretty tough though, because you got to save tires and you're low on fuel, and the balance changes when you do that. So just a little too tight at the end. Maybe if I'd have moved up, I could have held 12 off a little longer, but that was fun racing right there at the end. I told him good race after that. That was a good time. They're still in the championship, you know, it's just 1 point, and if he makes a mistake, we'll be there.
Still going to be a good championship battle. Vince Welch?
Such a tough day for Elliott Sadler today. Finishes 19th, coming to the pit lane with about 40 to go and gets rear-ended by a car. Certainly a hit to the championship, Elliott, but how do you describe the frustration of what happened out on the track?
Well, it was just tough. I mean, I had my hand stuck way out the window, and I wear white gloves so you can see them, and I don't even know who drives the 24 this week. They just run in the back of us and tore our car all to pieces, and put us in a big hole. So that, I mean, that really puts us behind with a few races to go. So you hate when that happens. There's really nothing you can do about it, and we have to regroup and go to Kentucky.
Thanks, E. Jamie?
Sam Hornish Jr. has a great day, brings it home 3rd, and continues that point lead. Your crew chief said, I'm sorry about that, man. I could have helped you out a little bit better next time. What could you guys have done differently to run with the 54?
Well, just the way that the strategy played out when we all just took fuel there. Our car was way free when we got to that point, so we decided that we needed to tighten it up a little bit for that last run, and it was just too tight to be able to do what we needed to do for the first 3 or 4 laps, you know, to try to do anything with the 54. But had a great day racing with Kyle and with Joey as well, and our Worth Ford Mustang was really good. We ended up gaining another point, which is what we need to do, and just real happy with the effort that these guys at Penske Racing put in for me. They do a great job, and looking forward to continuing on, going to Kentucky next week. And obviously a third's not is quite as good as we wanted to do, but when you're running for a championship, you got to take days like this.
5th straight top 10 finish here. Marty?
And the 2 guys that finished in front of him aren't running for the championship, so he did very well today. Take a look at this, the dominant wins. And look at the guys on this list. Dale Earnhardt, Austin Dillon, Bobby Hamilton Jr., and twice Kyle Busch. Let's talk to him. He's in victory lane.
What a performance by Kyle Busch. 10th win of the year, 3rd on a mile-and-a-half track, 3rd at Chicagoland, high-five in the crew. Kyle, we talk about impressive performances. This is such a momentum sport in NASCAR. You lead the most laps Friday night, win the truck race. You dominate today to win the nationwide race. What does this do for race 1 of the chase here tomorrow?
You always have to have good race cars, so we got to have a good race car for tomorrow as well too. But I tell you what, this was an awesome race car right here. This Monster Camry was phenomenal. So can't say enough about Monster Energy. Everybody at Toyota, JGR Engines, Nationwide Insurance. You know, love running here with these guys, and of course the fans. You know, we appreciate their support, and I thank the Lord as well too. He's a savior of mine, and you know, has been blessing us a lot this year. So it's been fun.
Maybe tomorrow 3 in a row. We don't know, but what a day, what a weekend so far for Kyle Busch here at Chicagoland Speedway. Marty.
All right, thanks, Doc. As the points difference now 17 between first and second, 36 all the way back to third. Tomorrow, the chase begins in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. The Geico 400 coverage begins at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Coming up next, it's college football scoreboard. This has been a presentation of ESPN as Kyle Busch in a dominating performance here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. For our entire ESPN crew, I'm Marty Reed. Thanks so much for joining us. Till we meet again.